You know, if this happened in any other decade, this might seem a little strange. Do, 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 do. Do. Have you ever considered the definition for the word freedom? I know I haven't. I mean, how can I? I'm a filthy white man. I am not a black, I am not a Spanish, or a red, or a brown, or a black. And when the election cycle depends on it, I'm not a yellow either. And with all of my privilege, it's impossible for me to provide a definition of the word freedom. At least that's according to the heroes over at the Canadian Broadcasting Corporation. They say that freedom is a convenient rallying cry for those evil right-wing insurrectionists, terrorist, misogynistic trucker fuckers. And I, for one, am completely offended by the actions of these terrorists. Never before has the world seen such a disgraceful action of semi-trucks blocking streetways and honking their horns without resorting to any kind of violence, any kind of rioting or looting whatsoever. And you know what? I don't have to take it. You know why? Because the definition of freedom is not concrete. It is completely fluid and open to interpretation. And you want to know something? They're probably right. I mean, when was the last time you looked up the word freedom in Merriam-Webster's dictionary? Here it is right here, the definition of freedom. The quality or state of being free, such as the absence of necessity, coercion, or constraint in choice or action. Okay, not off to a good start there. Let's take a look at dictionary.com. Freedom. Part 1. The state of being free or at liberty rather than in confinement or under physical restraint. Okay, well, you know what they say, first the worst, second the best. Number 2, exemption from external control, interference, and regulation, etc. You know what? Suck my dictionary.com. The only dictionary I need is the Urban Dictionary. Check this shit out, yo. Freedom, an American fetish. Okay, you know what? Fuck it. I don't need the definition to the word freedom, okay? Not when I got those guys over at the CBC telling me what it means, and they hired themselves an expert, one Elizabeth Anchor, and she says, freedom is a slippery concept. On the far right, it is often translated into somebody who refuses to be bound by norms of equality, treating all people equally or norms to remedy inequality, whether that's trying to remedy social discrimination or gender discrimination. And boom goes the dynamite on those worthless grammar Nazi truckers. You think freedom makes you free? No, it just makes you a racist and misogynist and probably transphobic too. The science is still out on that one. And to be fair, who's to say what freedom means? Think about it in different terms. For example, private citizens do not have the freedom to keep their medical history between them and their doctors when it comes to certain medical procedures that shall remain nameless. However, Justin Trudeau does have the freedom to label evil insurgent blockade occupiers as threats to Canadian national security, and anybody who supports them financially deserve to have their access to banking and other services stripped away from them without court order or due process. When you look at it that way, it is a completely fair argument. I mean, what the hell else was Trudeau supposed to do? Have a sit down with those evil trucker cocksuckers? Just look at those bearded men. Babyface Trudeau would look like an absolute pussy when sitting next to those manly truckers. Those assholes look just like lumberjacks, and it's common knowledge. A Canadian housewife cannot stop herself from being turned on when it comes to lumberjacks. The science has proven this. 26.9% of Justin Trudeau's voter base are lonely Canadian housewives, and he cannot afford to lose them if they're thinking about lumberjacks and getting moister than a Duncan Hines cake in a Turkish steam room. So stripping citizens of their financial rights just seemed like a logical conclusion, which is lucky for me because I just so happen to have an intricate network of sexy spies in the Canadian banking system. We just intercepted the first call that went out to the first customer guilty of aiding terrorism.
Hello, good afternoon. Is this Scott Foley? Yes, it is. The same Scott Foley who graduated from St. Elmo's High School in Yellowknife? The very same. The same Scott Foley who took Jenna McKinney to the Sadie Hawkins dance in the winter of 1997? Oh, sure. To think she'd be my wife 3 years later. Time sure does fly. My name is Dave MacDonald. I manage the Royal Canadian Bank of Canada. Oh, hi, Dave. I just wanted to let you know that you have been suspected of supporting terrorism, and we have frozen all of your accounts and you can no longer access your money. I'm sorry, sir. What was your name again? Dave MacDonald. Dave MacDonald.
Nah, not Diarrhea Dave MacDonald from St. Elmo's.
You stole my Jenna from me!
She was the one who asked me out, you hoser.
My Jenna was supposed to ask me out. She just didn't know it yet.
That's right, I'm remembering now, eh? After she asked me out, you went to the cafetorium and cried after drinking about a dozen bags of milk. You drank so much milk that you had to go to the nurse's station and pooped on her sofa.
That was 25 years ago. Now I run the bank.
Oh, look at the time. Sorry about that, Diarrhea Dave. I gotta go meet my wife down over at Tim Hortons for a double-double and a maple donut. Then we're gonna go make sweet love after the Calgary Flames lose to the Maple Leafs, eh?
At the end of the day, I don't suppose you can ever get a solid definition of freedom. To Justin Trudeau, freedom means declaring war on sovereign citizens while ignoring the protests from premiers of major provinces, the police, the military, the citizens themselves, and even that crackhead Doug Ford. It means demonizing a fringe minority of supporters with liberal talking points and meaningless insults. That very same fringe minority leading so-called freedom convoys across France and New Zealand, Australia, and even in the United States of America. It means bravely forcing its citizens into an authoritarian dictatorship filled with mandates, threats, nonsense laws that were illegally passed by the stroke of a pen. And it's just like the Prime Minister said, mandates are the way to avoid further restrictions for freedom. Hello there once again, Arston the Unclean here. Just want to say thank you for checking out the new video, and if you find yourself enjoying these oddball rants about my theories on the downfall of society, feel free to give me a like and or subscribe if you so desire. Because much like a stiff drink and a swift kick to the pants, God knows I could use one. Once again, if you feel like engaging in an argument in the comments section down below, feel free to do so if you like. This video's argument subject is mason jars. Just want to give a final shout out to the Freedom Convoy out there in Ottawa, Canada. You magnificent bastards are fighting like hell. Your voices are being heard. Keep holding that line. You're not alone out there, guys. And as always, thanks for caring, and I'll see you in the gulag.